Welcome to AI Assembled, the top AI news for small business. I'm Chris Doelle, and each week I bring you the most important AI developments that can transform your business. Let's dive into this week's top stories.
The biggest AI story of the week is also the strangest. On June 9th, Anthropic released Claude Fable 5, calling it the most powerful model the company had ever shipped, a so-called Mythos-class system that Anthropic had previously labeled, quote, too powerful to release, end quote. 3 days later, on June 12th, at 5:21 p.m. Eastern Time, the U.S. Department of Commerce sent Anthropic an export control directive, ordering the company to suspend access to Fable 5 and the related Mythos 5 model for every foreign national, whether inside or outside the United States, including Anthropic's own foreign national employees. Anthropic complied within hours, but here is the catch. There is no realistic way to identify foreign nationals in real time across a user base in the hundreds of millions. So Anthropic disabled the models for everyone, worldwide, the same day. Now here is where it gets weird. The reason cited by the government was a reported jailbreak. Anthropic publicly stated that the government gave them only verbal evidence of what the company called a narrow, non-universal exploit, essentially asking the model to read a codebase and fix software flaws. Anthropic pointed out that other public models, including GPT 5.5, can do the exact same thing without a bypass. The company added, in writing, that it disagrees that a narrow potential jailbreak justifies recalling a commercial model that had been deployed to hundreds of millions of users. The UK AI Security Institute had separately tested Fable 5 and found it could exploit cyber defenses 73% of the time, a step change in capability that finance and government leaders had flagged before launch. The backdrop matters. Anthropic is in an ongoing lawsuit with the Pentagon, which earlier this year designated the company a, quote, supply chain risk, end quote. The first time a U.S. company has ever received that label. Anthropic just confidentially filed for an IPO last month. For a small business, the takeaway is brutal and simple. If you built any workflow on a single frontier AI model in the last 6 months, you just learned that model can disappear from your business in 3 hours, with no warning, and you cannot do anything about it. Model redundancy is no longer an architecture preference. It is now an operating requirement. Any critical workflow should run on at least 2 providers, one primary, one fallback, and you should test the failover this week, not next quarter. The Fable drama unfolded the same week as Apple's annual developer conference, where the news was almost as significant in the opposite direction. On June 8th, at WWDC 2026, Apple unveiled Siri AI, an entirely new Siri assistant powered by a custom 1.2 trillion parameter Gemini model from Google. But the real headline for small business is this: iOS 27, iPadOS 27, and macOS 27 will let users choose which AI model powers Apple Intelligence: ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or Anthropic's Claude. That is, the same model chooser pattern Microsoft just shipped inside Office. The era of being locked into one AI vendor at the operating system level is ending. For a small business owner, this means the AI on your iPhone, your iPad, and your Mac is about to become customizable per task, and your team members may all be using different models on the same device without you realizing it. Set a policy now. Decide which model is the default for which kind of work: drafting versus research versus coding versus customer email, before the choices fragment across your staff. The third story is the irony layer on top of the first two. The same Anthropic that just had its top model pulled by the U.S. government also announced this week that Claude is now an official AI option inside iOS 27. Apple has roughly 2.2 billion active devices globally. Even at a 5% adoption rate, that is more than 100 million new Claude users routed through the iPhone alone. So while the Pentagon and Commerce Department are choking off Fable, Apple just handed Anthropic a consumer distribution pipe larger than anything the company has ever had. The contradiction is real. Anthropic is simultaneously losing access to its most capable model and gaining the largest consumer reach in its history through a partner that did not need permission from Washington to do it. For small businesses, this is the clearest signal yet that the frontier AI market is splitting into two tracks. A capability track, which the government is actively shaping, and a distribution track, which is moving faster than anyone in Washington can keep up with. Plan your AI strategy, assuming both tracks keep moving in opposite directions for the rest of the year.
Microsoft used the same week to push hard on its own AI platform. At Microsoft Build 2026, the company announced that Microsoft Foundry now hosts more than 11,000 AI models, and crucially, that Claude is now available inside Excel agent mode. Stop and think about that for a moment. Excel has roughly 750 million users worldwide. Putting a frontier AI agent inside the spreadsheet means small business owners can now ask Claude to write a formula, explain why a formula is broken, clean up a messy data import, generate a written analysis of last quarter's numbers, or build an automated workflow without ever leaving the spreadsheet. For the typical small business that runs its books, its payroll forecasting, its client lists, and its inventory inside Excel, that is the most consequential AI rollout this year, more consequential than any chatbot release. The practical move this week? Open Excel, look for the agent mode toggle in the ribbon, and pick one workflow you do every week. A sales report, a cash flow forecast, a vendor reconciliation, and rerun it through the agent. The time savings on a single workflow will typically pay for the Microsoft 365 subscription for the whole year. Anthropic, having a very busy week despite the Fable drama, also formally launched what it is calling Claude Partner Hub. This is a $100 million enterprise partner program for system integrators, consulting firms, and AI-native service businesses that help other companies deploy Claude at scale. For small business owners who are not themselves AI experts, this is the most important signal. Anthropic is admitting that small and mid-sized companies will not buy Claude by signing up on a website. They will buy Claude through a local consultant or integrator who configures the model into the workflows the business already runs. If your business has been quietly looking for someone to help you implement AI, the Partner Hub directory becomes a credible sourcing channel in the next 90 days. The flip side, for service businesses listening, this is also a real channel opportunity. Any agency, accountant, marketing firm, or IT provider that joins Claude Partner Hub can now resell Claude implementation as a service line, with Anthropic's branding and training behind them. The pattern we talked about last week, small businesses buying AI through trusted channels rather than direct from the vendor, just got a $100 million tailwind from the second-largest AI lab in the world. Now to something every small business needs to mark on the calendar, especially if you serve customers in Colorado. The Colorado Consumer Protections for Artificial Intelligence Act takes effect on June 30th. That is 15 days from this episode. It is the first real U.S. state-level AI regulation with teeth. The law applies to deployers and developers of high-risk AI systems used in things like hiring, lending, housing, insurance, and consumer-facing services that affect Colorado residents. Small businesses with under $25 million in annual revenue do get a grace period, but a grace period is not an exemption. If you use AI to screen job applicants, score loan applications, set insurance pricing, or make automated customer decisions, your obligations include risk assessments, public disclosure of AI use, and the ability to explain how the AI reached a decision. This is the template other states are watching. New York, California, Illinois, and Texas all have similar bills in motion. 3 concrete actions this week. 1. Write down every place AI is making or shaping a decision in your business. 2. Confirm whether any of those decisions affect Colorado residents. 3. If yes, post a plain English notice on the relevant page of your website disclosing the AI use, and start documenting how the decision is made. That single page of disclosure will cover the majority of small business exposure for the first version of the law.
One more data point that quietly reframes the whole week. The U.S. Census Bureau released new figures showing AI use among American businesses grew measurably between December 2025 and May 2026, across every firm size and every major sector. The largest jumps came not from the tech sector, where adoption was already saturated, but from professional services, retail, and accommodation and food services. Translation: the businesses adopting AI fastest right now are the ones that actually have to face customers in person every day. Coffee shops, salons, accountants, plumbers, retail boutiques. The narrative that AI is a coastal tech bubble story is now objectively wrong in U.S. government data. Every census category moved up. If you are running a service business and you have not yet picked your first AI workflow, your competitors did this quarter, and the data shows it. So here is the bottom line on this week. The most powerful AI model on the market got pulled by the U.S. government 3 days after launch. Apple put a model chooser on every iPhone. Microsoft put Claude inside Excel. Anthropic is launching a partner channel for the same small businesses whose government just took its flagship model off the shelf. Colorado's AI law goes live in 15 days, and the census just confirmed every type of small business in America is moving on AI at the same time. The volatility at the top of the market is now an operating condition, not a temporary disruption. Here is your 5-step action plan for the next 30 days. 1. Audit every AI-dependent workflow in your business and pick a backup provider for each. If your primary is Claude, your fallback should be GPT or Gemini, or vice versa. Test the switch this week, not the next time a government shuts a model down. 2. Open Excel, turn on agent mode, and run one weekly report through it. If it saves an hour, you have justified the subscription for the year. 3. If you serve any customers in Colorado, write the one-page AI disclosure for your website before June 30th. Even if you are under the revenue threshold, you are building the template you will need for every other state next year. 4. Pick a default AI model for each kind of work: drafting, research, customer email, coding. Before iOS 27 and macOS 27, let your team members each pick a different one. Consistency is a brand and a security decision now. 5. If you have been waiting to hire a local AI consultant, watch the Claude Partner Hub directory in the next 90 days. The vetted local options about to enter the market will be your fastest path to actually getting AI into your business without learning every tool yourself. That's the brief.
That's it for this week's AI Assembled, the top AI news for small business. If you found this valuable, share it with a fellow business owner. If you want a hands-on group that you can work with on your specific AI needs, consider joining Business Success Academy at freshmediaworks.com/BSA. Until next week, keep innovating and keep it real.